Namaskar. My name is Dr. Avadhesh Khare. In this episode of EduVenture, we shall continue to discuss about story-based learning in part 3. Indeed, story-based learning was a cornerstone of ancient Indian education, deeply woven into the fabric of Gurukul system and familiar traditions. In the Gurukul system, gurus used stories to illustrate complex philosophical concepts and moral principles. They engaged students in discussions and reflection on the stories, fostering critical thinking and ethical reasoning. Grandparents and parents played a crucial role in transmitting cultural values and family histories through storytelling. Today's first story is by Sundar Pichai. Title is A Beautiful Speech by Sundar Pichai. In this story, Sundar Pichai talks about the cockroach theory of self-development. At a restaurant, a cockroach suddenly flew from somewhere and sat on a lady. She started screaming out of fear. With a panic-stricken face and trembling voice, she started jumping with both her hands, desperately trying to get rid of cockroach. Her reaction was contagious, as everyone in her group was also got panicky. The lady finally managed to push the cockroach away, but it landed on another lady in the group. Now it was the turn of the other lady to continue the drama. The waiter rushed towards their rescue. In the relay of throwing the cockroach, it next fell upon the waiter. The waiter stood firm, composed himself, and observed the behavior of the cockroach on his shirt. When he got confident enough, he grabbed the cockroach with his fingers and threw it out of the restaurant. Sipping my coffee and watching the amusement, the emptiness of my mind picked up a few thoughts and started wondering, was the cockroach responsible for the histrionic behavior? If so, then why was the waiter not disturbed? He handled it with near perfection, without any chaos. It is not the cockroach, but the inability of the ladies to handle the disturbance caused by cockroach that disturbed them. I realized that it is not the shouting of my father or my boss or my wife that disturbs me, but it is my inability to handle the disturbance caused by their shouting that disturbs me. In fact, it is not the traffic jams on the road that disturbs me, but my inability to handle the disturbance caused by traffic jam that disturbs me. More than the problem, it is my reaction to the problem that creates chaos in my life. Lesson I learned from this story. I understood I should not react in life. I should always respond. The woman reacted, whereas the waiter responded. Reactions are always instinctive, whereas responses are always well thought of, a beautiful way of understanding life. The second story is by Narayan Murthy. Title is Mail Sent by Narayan Murthy to Infosys staff members. It is 8:30 in the office in the night, but lights are still on. Computers are running, coffee machines are buzzing. And who is at work? Is it most of them? Let us take a closer look. Some male species of the human race. Look still closer. Again, all or most of them are bachelors. And why are they sitting late? Working hard? No way. Let us ask one of them. Here is what he says. What is there to do after going home? Here we get to surf, AC, phone, food, coffee. That is why I am at work. And most importantly, no boss in the light. This is the scene in most research centers, software companies, and other offshore offices. Bachelors time passing during late hours in the office just because they say they have nothing else to do. Now, what is the consequence? Working for record in late hours soon becomes part of the organization of the company culture. The bosses, more than eager to provide support to those working late in the form of taxi vouchers, food vouchers, and of course, good feedback. Oh, he's a hard worker, goes home only for changing clothes. Bosses are not helping things any better. To help with such bosses who don't understand the difference between sitting late and working late, very soon the boss starts expecting all employees to put in extra working hours. So, my dear bachelors, let me tell you, life changes when you get married and start having a family. Then office is no longer a priority, but family is. And that is when the problem starts because you start to have commitments at home too. For your boss, the earlier hard working guy suddenly seems to become an early leaver. Even if you leave 1 hour after regular time, after doing all your work, people leaving on time after completing their task for the day are labeled as work shirkers. Girls who thankfully always, it is changing nowadays, however, leave on time are labeled as not up to it. All the while, the bachelors pat their own back and carry on working, not realizing that they are spoiling the work culture at their own place and never realize that they would have to regret at one point of time. So, what is the moral of the story? Very clear. Leave on time. Never put in extra time unless it is really needed. Don't stay back unnecessarily and spoil your company work culture, which will in turn cause inconvenience to you and your colleagues. There are 100 other things to do in the evening. learn music, learn a foreign language, try a sport, table tennis, cricket. Importantly, get a girlfriend or boyfriend, take him or her around the town, and for heaven's sake, net cafe rates have dropped to all time low and try cooking for a change. Take a tip from Smirnoff Ed. Life is calling, where are you? Please pass on this message to all your colleagues and please do it before leaving time. Don't stay back till midnight to forward this. It's a typical Indian mentality that working for long hours means very hard working and 100% commitment. People who regularly sit late in the office don't know how to manage their time. Simple, so simple. Regards, Narayan Murthy. The next story is about Socrates. One day in ancient Greece, wise old Socrates walked down the road when suddenly a man ran up to him. Socrates, I have to tell you something about your friend. Hold on. Socrates interrupted. Before you tell this story to me, did you put it through three sieves? Three sieves? The man asked. What three sieves? Let us try it, Socrates says. The first sieve is that of truth. Did you examine what you are about to tell me is true? Socrates asked. Well, no, I just overheard it, the man said. Ah, well, friend, have you used the second sieve? The sieve is good. Socrates asked, is it something good? What you have about to tell me? Oh no, on the contrary, the man answered. Let's use the third sieve then. Is it necessary to tell me what you are so excited about? No, not necessary at all, the man said. Socrates said with a smile, if the story you are about to tell me is not true, good, or necessary, just forget about it and don't bother me. So next time you hear something, apply this test before acting upon it. And the last story is about professor versus student. And the story goes as follows. Don't miss even a single word. It is too good. An atheist professor of philosophy speaks to his class on the topic the problem science has with God. He asks one of his students to stand and professor, so you believe in God? Student, absolutely, sir. Is God good? Student, sure. Is God all powerful? Yes. Professor, my brother died of cancer even though he prayed to God to heal him. Most of us would attempt to help others who are ill, but God did not. So, how is this God good then? The student remained silent. Professor, you can't answer, can you? Let us start again, you fellow. Is God good? Student, yes. Is Satan good? Student, no. Where Satan comes from? Student, from God. That's right. Tell me, son, is there evil in the world? Student, yes. is evil is everywhere, isn't it? And God did make everything, correct? Student, yes. Professor, so who created evil? Student, kept quiet. Professor, is there sickness, immorality, hatred, ugliness? All these terrible things exist in the world, don't they? Student, yes, sir. Professor, so who created them? No answer. Professor, science says you have five senses. You use these to identify and observe the world around you. Tell me, son, have you ever seen God? No, sir. Tell me then, you have ever heard of your God? No, sir. Professor, have you ever felt your God? Tasted your God? Smelt your God? Have you ever had any sensory perception of God for that matter? Student, no, sir, I am afraid I haven't. Professor, you still believe in Him? Student, yes. Professor, according to empirical, testable, demonstrable protocol, science says your God does not exist. What do you say, son? Nothing. I only have my faith. Professor, yes, faith. And that is the problem science has. Now, a student asks, Professor, is there such a thing as heat? Professor, yes. Student, is there such a thing as cold? Professor, yes. Student, no, sir. This is not true. The lecture theatre becomes quiet. The student, sir, you can have lots of heat, even more heat, superheat, mega heat, white heat, a little heat, or no heat. But you don't have anything called cold. We can hit 458 degrees below zero, which is no heat, but we can't go any further. There is no such thing as cold. Cold is only a word we use to describe the absence of heat. We cannot measure cold. Heat is energy. Cold is not opposite of heat, sir. Just the absence of it. There is pin drop silence in the lecture theatre. Student, what about the darkness, Professor? Is there such a thing called darkness? Professor, yes. What is night if there is no darkness? Student, you are wrong, sir, again. Darkness is the absence of light. You can have low light, normal light, bright light, flashing light. But if you constantly have no light, it's called darkness, isn't it? In reality, darkness is nowhere. If it were, you would be able to make darkness more darker, wouldn't you? Professor, so what is the point you are making, young man? Student, sir, my point is your philosophical premise is flawed. Flawed? Professor asks, can you explain how? Student, sir, you are working on the premise of duality. You argue there is life and then there is death, a good God and a bad God. You are viewing the concept of God as something finite, something we can measure. Sir, science uses electricity and magnetism, but has never seen either one, much less fully understood. To view death as opposite to life, it is to be ignorant of the fact that death cannot exist as a substantive thing. Death is not the opposite of life, it is just the absence of it. Not all, professor. Do you teach your students that they evolved from a monkey? Professor, if you are referring to the natural evolution process, yes, of course I do. Student, have you ever observed evolution? Have you seen it your own eyes? Professor shakes his head with a smile, beginning to realize where the argument is going. Student, science, no one has observed the process of evolution at work and cannot even prove it, that the process is ongoing. You are not teaching, you are only teaching your opinion. Are you not a scientist but a preacher? The class is in uproar. Student, is there anyone in the class who has ever seen professor's brain? The class breaks into laughter. Student, is there anybody who has ever heard the professor's brain, felt it, touched it, or smelt it? No one appears to have done so. Student says, according to the established rules of science, empirical, stable, demonstrable protocol says you have no brain, sir. With all due respect, sir, how do we then trust your lectures? The room is silent. The professor stares at the student at his face. Unfathomable. Professor, I guess you have to take me them on faith, son. Student, that is it, sir. The link between the man and God is faith. That is all that keeps things moving and alive. I believe you have enjoyed the conversation, and if so, this is a true story. And the student was none other than our former President of India, Dr. APJ Abul Kalam sir. I am concluding this episode here, and we'll meet next Tuesday and discuss something about some educational matter in the next episode of EduVenture. Jai Hind. Thank you. और हाँ, मैं आपको याद दिला दूं कि एड्यूवेंचर का एक एपिसोड हर मंगलवार को प्रस्तुत किया जाता है, इसलिए अगला एपिसोड भी अगले मंगल को आएगा। धन्यवाद।